What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Wrestling Junkies podcast. I am Eric, Mr. Cincinnati Robinson, and as always, I am joined by the podcast dad himself, Chris Hoops. Choops, my friend.
Doing good. Hopefully we can see me today and not just see you and your pretty face, but also see mine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, man, absolutely. It's good to be back with you talking some wrestling. If you are new to the channel, welcome. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. We've got our QR code in the top corner. You can check us out on Facebook, Instagram. I'm still calling it Twitter, but I guess we'll throw up that X. We got a great show for you guys today. We're going to talk a little NXT. We're going to recap, or we're going to preview, I should say, AEW Dynamite, as well as giving our full predictions for All Out and Payback coming up this weekend. We've got a big weekend of wrestling, man. 2 weeks in a row. How you feeling about that?
I love wrestling. This is a lot of wrestling. This is 3 pay-per-views in 2 weeks. And it seems like this is going to be the norm for AEW moving forward. Tony Khan said it. He's with the bank holiday for the UK and then our holiday here in the US. It seems like he's going to run it back to back every year now. So we should get ready for this every year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. I do like the idea of a Labor Day weekend with a lot of wrestling. Yes, we're junkies. I mean, yes, there can be such thing as too much wrestling, but I'm enjoying it right now. It's we're looking at massive success at Wembley Stadium. Now they're doing the follow up, and they've got some kinks to work out. But overall, like I said, we're going to give our full predictions for what we think is going to happen for the show. But I want to kick this off with a very interesting article that I found on Wrestling Inc. today. Eric Bischoff commented on AEW and All In and whether it is the equivalent of WrestleMania. And here's the quote, and this is directly from 83 Weeks. When you don't have a story, you put on a spectacle, and this was a spectacle. You had 81,000 plus fans. It was a beautiful venue. There were some great production shots, not as many as I thought I'd see. I didn't think they put the event over quite as much as I think they could have or should have, but that's probably being slightly overcritical. The lack of individual matches and the drama that usually comes with it, because there's a story, there's psychology in a match. Even if there isn't a backstory leading into the match itself can have a story, which is fine. I was pretty supportive of Tony and AEW going into not having a lot of build-up into this event, and I still am. But I think the takeaway would have been better had there been more singles matches that had great psychology in the ring. We didn't see that. What we saw was a lot of gimmick matches. Everything but the main event was a gimmick match, I think. Just too much, too indie. It's too indie-rific. Even though it was in front of 80,000 people, it was still too indie-rific for me. Having heard that, do you think that this is a fair comparison as far as All In to WrestleMania? Yes, this is their first stadium show, but WrestleMania is a nearly 40-year brand that has been created. And it does beg the question of what does an event like the caliber of WrestleMania look like when another company does it? So I want to get your thoughts on Eric's comments and comparing WrestleMania to All In.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is more of their WrestleMania 1, right? They don't have the full access weekend. They're not there for the entire week. They didn't do every show or every weekly show in England this week. This was kind of their first foray into that big stadium show. He has some fair criticisms of the card that I think I brought up on the preview show about a lot of multi-man matches. I would agree with that. I think there was too many multi-man matches. I think if you're going to have a big show like this and kind of have it be the feel of WrestleMania, then I would definitely have more singles matches moving forward, more hot rivalries. Now, to say it's not story-based, I think would be wrong. The main event that was the whole point of the main event, was the story. But the rest of the card did feel kind of thrown together a little bit. I also agree with the kind of the shots of the crowd. I don't know if we got as many as a WWE would. I mean, when you have WWE do it, it's always the vast shot of all the people in the crowd. I know they did it when they announced the attendance, but I think you want to get more of that. But I think it's a fair criticism. I think this is something that AEW can build on rather than kind of take it and say shove it. I think from someone who has been in the wrestling world that long, to not like just totally bash what he saw, but kind of, hey, this is what I would have done if I was doing it. And I think the indie-rific thing is, that it's a little bit of a slight, sure, but I would agree. Maybe next year the stage is a little bit bigger. Maybe that's what happens is because when we tune into a SummerSlam or whatever, it is that smaller stage, right? But at WrestleMania, it's always the big stage. It's always that big
Yeah.
grand stage. And maybe AEW runs stadium shows more often in the future. But I think if you're
Yeah.
going to do that, make this the big one that you do. You already got the record, the 81,000. That's awesome. You got it. Now let's make it a spectacle and excuse me, make sure moving forward that yes, this is our WrestleMania. So I would say it's a little bit of a harsh criticism, but I think a fair criticism.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, especially having this being an event that was billed 4 months, plus ago, and seeing how they were to get from that point to how this, final card ultimately turned out to be. I mean, there was a lot more that definitely could have added to it as far as additional pomp. I agree, but for a first foray into an international territory, which is what this was for them, they exceeded, I think, every expectation that there could have been of them for an event of that magnitude. It essentially is, while I will not say it's exactly WrestleMania, it's as close to a WrestleMania-like event as any other promotion is probably going to put on in a stadium of that size, minus Wrestle Kingdom. I think that also might be in consideration of that conversation as well. Yeah. But, as far as AEW's first time out and what they needed to accomplish in order to make this successful, given the fact that WWE ran there last year, and then in July for Money in the Bank, a lot of eyes were on them. I think that they delivered. Even if it doesn't feel like the storytelling of WrestleMania, where it's always the road to WrestleMania that has the Rumble, has the buffer pay-per-view to kind of finalize those stories, they still got where they needed to, and that's even with a subpar Double or Nothing in the mix there that probably impacted some things.
Yeah, but I think moving forward, you definitely want to start building that as your big show. I think you want to have those storylines feeding into it to make it feel like the big blow off, kind of your road to All In. Have those pay-per-views building up to it. I think this needs to be the big event every year. If they've proven they can do the stadium, make this the big event every year. Make it feel the special main event. This was your first pay-per-view. Build on that, see where we've come from, that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, I would make it a whole week thing like WrestleMania does. Make it an entire week over there and access and autograph signings and everything that WWE does. Make it huge. You'll make a ton of money with it. But for the first time going out there and doing it, I think it was fine. But yeah, build on what you did. And I think that's all Eric is trying to say is it doesn't feel like the counterpart to WrestleMania yet. They can get there, but it's not there quite yet.
Yeah. I guess now the next question becomes, since we, have to look at another show this upcoming week, where do you think that All Out fits into this spectrum of pay-per-view events? Not only in the guise of, yes, they've kind of got their four main shows. They've added Forbidden Door. Now there's the tribute show that's coming up as well.
Yeah,
it's clear that WBD wants monthly pay-per-views from AEW. I mean, do you think that that's overkill? I mean, obviously, it sounds like they're going to probably acquiesce and start to transition to that model. But I mean, running a show back to back, 1 week away from the other. I mean, do you think that that's going to create some fatigue?
I think it will if the match cards are as long as they have been. I think if they shorten it down to the 2.5, 3 hours as WWE does, I think they'll be fine. But if you do a monthly pay-per-view and it's 5 hours each time, you're going to have fatigue. One, you're going to run out of stories. Two, it's just going to be like, I gotta strap in to watch another AEW pay-per-view again. With it being the every couple months as it has been, it's better because you have that. I want to watch this giant card. If it's this big and this long every time, it's going to be tough to kind of pull that off. I don't know what it's going to look like until we see what All Out is. Once we see that kind of back to back and how that works, they're definitely going to have some trouble if neither world champion is on the card. I think it's going to be. I mean, this feels like the B show. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be interesting to see what this looks like compared to what All In looked like, because they haven't even really marketed All Out at all.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like given the fact that All Out has been their flagship Labor Day show for the better part of 5 years, everybody knows to expect it this Labor Day weekend. So I think that helps with some of it, is that there is that brand recognition of when it's time to, know that this card is going to show up. But even still, I have some concern about the card, and we'll talk about it here. Overall, it's not bad. I think that this could also just be an episode of Dynamite that is essentially like a Winter is Coming or a Fighter Fest or like a branded TV show.
Yeah, it's almost like I won't go. It's not Battle of the Bells, but it is kind of like a branded Dynamite. I'm wondering how long
Yeah.
this is going to be. Like, is it the same price as All In?
I believe so.
I
Yes.
mean, they're probably going to want to put on a longer card, and they have what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matches announced so far.
Yeah.
And like none of them are really jumping off the page as pay-per-view quality. Besides, I'd say Kenny Omega and Takeshita. Maybe Orange Cassidy and a Moxley. They've been kind of building that for a while.
Yeah.
But like this really, really feels like a B show. And you want me, if you're going to move forward with this every year and you want me to drop the same price or the same amount of money that I'm going to drop on your biggest show of the year on the not so biggest show of the year. I mean, there's been times where, growing up that I've skipped a WWE pay-per-view because it was a weak card and I'm not paying for that. I always say that was before the Peacock and the streaming at times. And maybe that's what AEW is looking at moving forward, is in this new deal, we're going to get on streaming. Like, I know they've talked a lot about Max or whatever it's called now. HBO.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the model they're looking at and thinking, okay, if we give them the more content, then we can go on the streaming, and that's how we build it up. But if you're asking me to pay that, I mean, it's almost $80 back-to-back weeks. Like, I mean, that's going to be hard with everything the way it's priced right now. It's going to be hard to get that, especially when you have your competitor. I mean, I can watch Payback on Saturday for what, $2.99, $3.99.
$9.99 without ads, but
yeah. Okay. Well, I don't look at my bills anymore. Stuff just comes out of my account, man. I just sign the check. But
you gotta love adulthood.
But you got, I mean, Payback is kind of a B show compared to All Out, and one is $30 less. I'm going to pay for the $30 less one.
Yeah. I mean, it's likely that I will end up getting this show just because it's wrestling, and it's just at this point, it's the tradition for most of us, and the ritual and the routine of it. But let's just go ahead and get into it, man. First match we have announced for All Out: Luchasaurus taking on Darby Allin for the TNT Championship. Luchasaurus with the help of Christian Cage. I mean, it's been a formidable pairing since turning them heel, but this has definitely benefited Christian more so than it has Luchasaurus, especially with how he's carrying the TNT Championship as if it was a King of the Ring trophy, and this was 2001. But I don't know. I don't necessarily expect anything spectacular to happen as far as a title change or anything like that yet. I think that there's still a lot more that you can do with Christian and Luchasaurus, and they haven't really teased any sort of friction or anything like that to indicate that there might be some, something like his head being out of the game to where he can't retain his title here. Darby's just a madman, so he's just gonna throw himself at Luchasaurus until he can't anymore.
Yeah, and I think Darby still has the story with Swerve that's going to play into it. And maybe it is a title change, and then Swerve goes after the TNT champion. The title run for Luchasaurus, like you said, has benefited Christian way more than it has benefited Luchasaurus. He seems just kind of the heater at this point, and that's about it for his future, which I don't love, because I think if you put him back with a heel Jack Perry, that'd
be cool. That would be pretty cool.
Pretty cool team, pretty good team, but I don't think that's the way to go at the moment. whenever Jack Perry comes back. We don't know. They haven't announced length of suspension or anything like that. But
yeah,
like
and they probably won't. I mean, they didn't last time. It was just kind of yes, they're suspended. Hey, they're back, which is what it is. They're a privately held company, so it's not like they they don't really owe us anything here. So it kind of is what it is.
I'm a wrestling fan. You owe me everything.
You're a wrestling fan? I thought you were a wrestling junkie. That's the name of the podcast.
All of it. You owe me all of it. I need all the answers.
Okay.
Anyway, like this feels like something that would main event a Dynamite. It would main event a Collision. This doesn't really feel like a big pay-per-view match. But I'll go Luchasaurus retains because I think Swerve is going to get involved.
Yeah, I'm going to say Luchasaurus too because I think Christian's going to get involved.
It's fair. A smosh finish.
Yeah. God, I have a love-hate thing with that word. I don't know. It's just
smosh.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's because I've only heard Bret Hart use it, and I'm a Shawn Michaels guy, so
How dare you?
Don't
best there is, best there was, best there ever will be.
Yeah, miss me with that. All right. Next up, we got Miro taking on Powerhouse Hobbs. Look at Miro making his way back to pay-per-view for the first time in a while.
Same with Hobbs.
Yeah. It's I do like that they used All In to build towards this, and Simon got on the card by being a security guard for that segment. So I like it.
Did you see it?
I did not actually see the segment. No,
neither did I.
Yeah, it was. I didn't know that 0 hour was basically 02 hours until like 12:55. So
it's funny that the biggest takeaway we get from that segment was Simon Miller was in the security. I think that pretty much sums up what this is. I mean,
yeah,
Miro's been away for a long time. They've kind of dropped the ball on Hobbs. I mean, this is going to be just
they dropped the ball on a lot of their big guys.
This is going to be two big guys slapping man meat. It is what it is. I guess Hobbs is going to win. I haven't really been paying attention to much of the story. I know he attacked Miro, and that's got to been the story. But
yeah,
I think I don't know. Miro could probably use a big win just to get him reestablished.
Sure,
but I mean, I have no idea what they're doing with either of these two men. So flip a coin.
Yeah. If you got to pick one, who are you picking?
I'll go Miro because I think, like you said, it's the first time we've seen him back on pay-per-views. And I mean, since 2021? Long time.
It can't have been that long.
He wasn't there much in 2022, was he?
I mean, a little, but I don't know. It can't have been 2 years since he was last on pay-per-view. If anybody else knows the answer to that, feel free to drop that in our comments or let us know on social media. Use that QR code in the right top of the corner or left top.
I mean, I'll look, but I don't.
Okay.
I mean, he wasn't on All In, wasn't on Forbidden Door, wasn't on Double or Nothing.
No. Revolution?
I don't think he was. No, there's no way.
Doesn't sound like it. Yeah.
Nope, not on Revolution. Let's see. Full Gear, 2022.
What was it?
I'm going to look. Feel good about it.
Well, in the meantime, enjoy this background music while Choops figures out the last time that Miro was on pay-per-view.
You did. I mean, you could vamp instead of just playing this.
I just wanted to make you feel uncomfortable, but he is absolutely right. Again, if you are new to the channel, make sure to like, share, subscribe, follow us on YouTube, follow us on Spotify, Instagram, X. I'm still calling it Twitter. I don't know what you guys are still calling it, but I'm still calling it Twitter. And like us on Facebook too. We're pretty charming guys, I'd like to think. So come talk some wrestling with us. If you ever have questions, again, DM us. Let us know what you want to hear or see on this show. We appreciate you guys sticking along with the ride for us. Now I'm gonna stop this lounge music now. It's pretty vibey, but distracting.
Dude,
I just wanted to mess with you.
Looking through these cards, 15 matches. They can't do that.
Wait, what?
I mean, looking through these
previous pay-per-views. Okay. I was gonna say what?
Like they cannot do that again. Like if they're gonna do monthly pay-per-views, you cannot do 15 card pay-per-views.
I mean, they're having
No,
fun. They're
you
having
can't.
fun, I guess. Yeah.
You're
No, you really can't. But I do think that this will be a much there was 11 matches that we saw this past week at All In.
and that one didn't feel long.
Not really, no,
It was
no,
very.
and
It was probably the best paced pay-per-view I've seen from AEW so far.
yeah, no, I think that would be fair to say. It's because I think that they have a lot of great moments and then a lot of things that they just have as let me up kind of things. But this, yeah, I agree. It was very, very even keeled and they had a little bit of everything, even though there was some calamity in the back that, created some chaos. But
You don't
yeah,
say.
no, well, I do say. So, have you figured that out over there?
I'm still looking back, man. I'm on Full Gear 2021.
You could just look up Miro on Wikipedia and go to his story history under AEW.
It was Full Gear 2021.
He's not been on pay per view in 2 years.
No,
Wow.
he
Okay.
was
Okay.
he was in the fourth match in the AEW title eliminator against Bryan Danielson.
Yeah. Okay. Um,
That's crazy.
yeah. Yeah, I can see how, and I think you said it best. This is a flip a coin match between the two. Either one of them could use this win. It's a matter of what they do with it from here. It's easy to slot them both back into the TNT title picture, but it still would feel more like hot potato. And it seems like Christian's going to be preoccupied with Swerve and Darby for a while. So who the hell knows?
I've changed my mind. Miro gets the win. You haven't been on a pay-per-view since 2021, man. Miro needs
That's
the
fine.
win. Like
I'm still going to say Hobbs just to keep it interesting.
If you want to establish this guy again, man. And yeah, I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm not gonna make anybody mad today. I'm gonna leave it alone.
Okay. All right. On to the next match. We've got Chris Statlander taking on Ruby Soho for the TBS Championship. I know that we are all pretty annoyed that we did not get many women's matches on the All In card.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see that they're at least making this championship a priority because they need to. They're both too great to not have some space on the card. Wouldn't you agree? On any card, really.
Yeah. Is this the only women match that's going to be on this card?
It's likely. I mean, as we're talking about this, we still have an hour and a half before Dynamite. So who knows? I mean, there could be something else announced, but it would not surprise me if this was the only women's match on the card, which makes you wonder again, where's Athena? We know that Jamie Hayter's still hurt. What's Willow doing? Yeah. Hikaru Shida, Rio, even Maki Ito will be a lot of fun right now to see, but they're not listening to us and we're not writing the checks and we don't have the pencil. So
yeah, it's and I don't want to take away from these two women, but like, how do you not have Jade Cargill? Like, just pay her to come back.
Yeah, that's if she wants to come back. She just might not.
Money talks, man.
That it does.
You was at your biggest show of the year and you had one of your top female performers that you've invested a lot in, and she's nowhere to be found.
No.
That seems to be a situation that they're going through. But this match, I would expect Statlander to retain. I think Tony Storm will get involved in this and cost Ruby and continue that story with the Outcasts. We'll see what happens tonight. Hopefully Soraya's on the card and kind of maybe we get a little bit more tease of the tension between the group.
Yeah.
But I would say Statlander because I don't think her run's been long enough. This would be a good win for her over a credible opponent. And I think you continue to build her and like as much as Jade kind of I'll say help the title. She also kind of hurt the title in the same way because we were kind of in this holding pattern where she wasn't facing top talent in the women's division. Yeah. So I think Statlander is going to continue to have to build this title up a little bit more, and being on the pay-per-view will help that. I need a follow-up after that though.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, the only time that that Chris has been involved in the title match on pay-per-view is when she returned and won the damn thing. So I agree that she does need a big win here. if Jade comes back, I think it's time to move her on to the Women's World Championship division. At least get her starting to contend with other women that are in that main event scene on the women's side. There was no reason that we couldn't have gotten Jade versus Britt at some point. Why they didn't do it, I don't know. Again, we don't have the pencils here, but it would have been nice. But I do hope, much like the TNT Championship, I think that the TBS Championship also needs a little revamp or a reset or a refresh. I don't know. I feel like we're always saying that with the TNT Championship. Christian's doing the best work with it so far, and he's not even the champion. It's just it's bonkers.
Yeah, those two titles, they don't. I mean, what would you say they're equivalent to in WWE? Like that, it's kind of like what the cruiserweight title was almost. I don't want to say like the 24/7 because it's not that bad. Maybe
I'd say like the European Championship for the men.
Yeah,
and
maybe.
then
we haven't had a mid card in the women, so it's not.
Yeah, so I mean, I can't really compare it there, but I mean, it has as much, or as much prestige as the old Divas Championship. It's kind of just there.
It's just there. I'm hoping they have enough women on the roster to continue a story. Give me more stories with it. Have this be on like that. That was another thing that I think hurt All In was on this card. You have the TNT, the TBS, the international title all on the line, and none of those titles were on the line at All In. Like if you want to make your titles feel important and prestigious, have them on the line. You watch a WrestleMania, the Intercontinental title was on the line. The United States champion was on the line. Even the women's tag team champions were on the line. Put your champions on the card and have them, even though they quote unquote were. Orange Cassidy was in the match. Christian was in the match, but he's not the champion. Didn't even come out with the belt. I don't even remember. That's how bad it is. I don't remember. So it make these titles feel important, and I think you'd have more success in your mid card division, and guys like Miro and Powerhouse Hobbs wouldn't get as lost.
Yeah, no, it's I don't know. I think that we're always going to be scratching our heads with this, but hopefully, hopefully we'll see what the rest of the year has in store. Try to remain a little optimistic as far as what they might do. I still think this is going to be a great match. I'm going to say Chris Statlander. She's worked hard to come back from this injury. I want to see if they give her a real opportunity to run with this division. I mean, Jade had it on a stranglehold for the better part of a year plus.
Yeah,
let's see what Chris can do. I think that she's more than capable of carrying that mantle as we kind of figure out what happens next with Jade. I do think that we're finally starting to see the end of the Outcasts. It just didn't work. It didn't work, and pull the plug on it. Go back to the drawing board. You got three great women that can help the division. Just let's move on. Didn't work. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Next up, we've got Orange Cassidy taking on either Penta El Cerro Miedo or Jon Moxley for the AEW International Championship. Penta and Mox will be going at it in a little over an hour's time on tonight's edition of Dynamite. It's probably pretty likely that Mox is going to go over here and that we're going to get Orange Cassidy versus Jon Moxley. We saw a lot of bad blood, literally, at All In this past weekend. I mean, we saw Mox stab Cassidy in the back of the head with a fork. That was just, yeah. So, do you think it's time for Orange to drop the strap?
I'm going to correct you first, and I don't like to be this guy.
Yeah. No, that's all right. Please do.
Orange Cassidy is defending against Penta tonight. Not me.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Yes. No. That's. I appreciate that correction. Yeah, we like to be. We want to be accurate here. Yeah.
So Moxley's getting the title shot either way. It just depends on if it's Cassidy or Penta. I will say Orange is going to win tonight, and I think Moxley will take the title off of him. They're doing the storyline with, Orange is just beat up and beat the hell, and I think Moxley is going to expose that in storyline. I think he's going to just beat the crap out of him, and I wouldn't be surprised if this was more or less a squash, just to kind of say, hey, Orange Cassidy has been just beat up, and Orange Cassidy takes some time off. We get a big return, and then those two feud for a little while. And it would be good to see Mox, get some gold again, and have the BCC start collecting those titles. Claudio is already your Ring of Honor World Champion, if you ask some people. I don't know if everybody knows that, but you do now. But I think that title, this title prestige has been lifted by what Orange Cassidy has done. And this is one of those titles where when Pac had it, he defended it in other promotions. Like Moxley can go defend this in a GCW and a Wrestling Revolver. Like this is one where Mox can now go around and start defending this title because he is so active, and I think it would be really cool to see that.
Yeah, and I mean, I certainly don't see this match as any sort of a demotion or an insult to Mox to do. I mean, even over New Japan, he's fighting for the U.S. Championship, so he's fighting for mid card championships, across the wrestling landscape right now, and Orange Cassidy has done a phenomenal job of making this championship matter, because even when Pac held it, yes, he was defending it everywhere. It did still feel like an afterthought within AEW whenever you would see it on TV, because he was also a trios champion at the time, and they had that story going with the Elite in that best of 7 series. So that took away some of the luster, I feel like. But Orange Cassidy has been, I mean, there's an argument that Orange Cassidy has been the MVP for AEW this year because of the successful title defenses, the streak that he's gone on. I mean, he's been the definition of a workhorse. I do think that he has, he's earned the time off, if that's, something that's likely going to happen here, because they keep talking about how beat up he is and the various injuries that there are. You have to imagine that there's something going on that he could probably go and take some rest, because, much like we talk about with Darby Allin and even with Seth Rollins, as far as injuries, we'd like to see him around for another 10, 15 years. So while it's great that, he's been working through a lot of things, go heal your body up, go chill for a bit. Mox will carry the mantle, and he'll do it with a smile, and he's going to love every second of it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's not a demotion for Moxley. The title means something. This is probably, Orange Cassidy probably has one of the better title reigns in company history, if not the best in company history. So I think he's elevated the title enough where Moxley winning it doesn't feel like a downgrade.
Yeah, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now we're on to what will likely be the main event. Kenny Omega taking on Takeshita. Singles match. We saw Takeshita get the shock victory at All In last week. I certainly didn't see that coming, and especially over Kenny. I don't know. I'll let you kick this one off. I mean, I've got my thoughts on it, but I know that you felt some type of way about the way that he won last week.
Yeah, it was. I like that he won. I like that he got the surprise roll up, and I like that. I think this would have been better if maybe you flipped these two matches and had what we had at All In be on All Out. Kind of give it that star power that you need, and have this be a singles match, because I think that would have been a better use of Kenny Omega. I think Takeshita goes over.
Okay, 2 wins in a row. I mean, I'm probably going to go the opposite and say Kenny gets the W on this one. I can understand the roll-up finish in a multi-man match just to get some shock and awe, but I think in a proper singles match, so long as Don Callis does not get involved, I think this is Kenny's for the taking.
I think that they're going to play up the whole, because Don Callis said it on commentary at All In, was Kenny hasn't won a big singles match since he and I split.
Oh, true. Yeah.
So I think they're going to continue to play that aspect of it. And then you remember one of the other clients for Don Callis is Will Ospreay.
True.
And I think down the line, you're going to get to one of those matches again, and that'll be Kenny's big win over Ospreay and kind of get that monkey off the back. But I think this is that speed bump until we get to that point.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I think overall it'll be an all right card. I mean, certainly not anything compared to what we saw last week at All In. Hopefully, we'll get some more clarity tonight on Dynamite and Rampage and a Collision.
It better not be. Hopefully, we better. Like, this is not a strong card if this is what you're rolling with.
I mean, it's not like it's December to Dismember, okay?
Nothing will be that bad.
I hope not. No, I hope not.
That went in with 2 advertised matches.
It did. It did. Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens.
They need to do some stuff tonight. That's all. They only have one advertised match on Dynamite tonight, which is not like AEW. We haven't really heard much about anything AEW since All In. So I think they need a big night tonight, and it's weird saying that off of their biggest show in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have to imagine that they've got a very CM Punk-sized hole to fill, especially going into a weekend full of Chicago shows.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because they're in Chicago tonight, right? Are they?
I can take a look real quick.
I will say, because if they are in Chicago tonight, it'll be. I know they're there for Collision, but if they're there tonight, it'll be interesting to hear the reaction of the crowd. Because you know that all those fans are smart enough to know that he's not going to be here, and they are in the show.
They are in Chicago. Can confirm.
So I feel like we're going to get a lot of CM Punk chants.
Oh, God,
especially if the Elite's on it. We're going to be. This will be an interesting show.
Yeah,
I'm excited. Now.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't want to get my hopes up yet, but it is what it is. We do have another show this weekend. We've got Payback coming, but before we get to Payback, a couple of things we just want to talk about when it comes to NXT. Last night's phenomenal cage match between the Creed brothers and the Dyad, where if the Creed brothers win, they would be reinstated to NXT. And
for some reason,
have not. Yeah, I know. They should be on the main roster, but if you are not familiar with the Creed brothers, we found a clip that I think that everybody's going to want to see. This is Julius Creed doing something that I don't know about you. I don't think that I've ever seen this before. So take a look.
You can't bet against Schism in this moment, but if the Creed brothers, specifically Julius, isn't victorious tonight, the Creed's looking for a job. Goes a one-arm powerbomb.
What the hell?
Booker T line at the end was
perfect. Man, that time, even with Vic, that looking for a job just punctuated that powerbomb, dude. The desperation and the build to that match, having the I guess the followers of Schism kind of jump Brutus and keep him out of the cage for a while to start the match, giving Julius that babyface, that underdog babyface role. Creed brothers are something special. I don't know why they are still in NXT. They have a lot to offer the main roster. We talked about this a couple of days ago, and this just accentuated the point. Like you said, they could be a part of Alpha Academy tomorrow, make them a true collective.
Do you think they're keeping him in NXT because they want to see how Julius does on his own? That would be my only hang up. Is that guy. That guy he has it. He's athletic enough. He's great in the ring. He's pulled out 450 splashes out of nowhere. He did that last night. That guy has so much potential. That would be my only guess of, all right, let's see how he can kind of do on his own. And it's different circumstances, obviously, with the Wesley situation, but let's see what he does on his own. It could almost be like a Trick Williams and Mello kind of thing where they amicably split and then they kind of go on their own and let's see what he can do on his own. I think him in a match with Braun Breaker would be phenomenal.
Sure. Ilya too, I think could get the best out of him as well.
A Dijak would be good.
Yeah.
I think that might be the only reason they're still there is to kind of see what he can do on his own.
Fair. I would like to just see them have that proper tag team run on the main roster first. I think even when you know that one member of a team has it, at least if they are part of a tag team, let them go showcase that. Let them do that right proper tag team run. Creed brothers could run that tag team division if they really wanted to, It's just...
How many teams have we said that about? I think we need
and we'll continue to say it.
I think we just need to come to terms that tag team wrestling is not a big deal for the WWE. It's not.
But why?
Because they're looking for that single star. It's always been that way. there was a period of time where the tag titles felt huge when it was the Hardys and Edge and Christian and the Dudleys. But I mean, if you just run through the teams throughout the years, like I know the New Day and the Usos had some great matches, but like those tag titles have just never.
Well, it looks like we lost the podcast, Dad, midstream there. It's all right. You gotta love live shows. But yeah, I mean, as far as Creed Brothers and everything that they've done, this feud with Dyad, this has just been interesting from start to finish because the Dyad, they asked for their release from NXT several months ago, and they were, that request was declined naturally, given what the value is of talent and how both companies are fighting to, basically stock their war chests. To see this team not only request the release, have that request denied, but then they find themselves on television every single week in a prominent place, with Joe Gacy and with Ava, and doing this story with the Creed brothers. It's pretty surprising. I don't think that I've ever seen anything like this before. So we're intrigued to see, where it is that they will go now that the story with the Creeds are over. Creeds, I hope, move on if they're either going to find themselves competing for the NXT Tag Team Championships or hopefully making it to the main roster. Another thing that I've noticed is that the main roster call-ups are now pretty unpredictable. That, even with 4 months left to go in 2023, there's still a real possibility that they will end up competing, that they'll end up, making their names in the main roster. Braun Breaker is an example of somebody that is ready to go. I know that they've wanted to keep him in NXT to try to see what he can do as a single star, as a heel. And now here we are, looking at him competing against Von Wagner in a story that's just been kind of meh, and seeing what it is that has and has not worked between this feud. And there's not a whole lot that has. Braun Breaker very clearly is ready for the main roster, and there's so many ways that they can insert him right away. We're looking at, potential involvement in, either the Intercontinental or U.S. Championship title reigns. I would imagine once Gunther loses the Intercontinental Championship, whenever that'll be, I would hope that it's to Chad Gable and Gunther can move up to the World Heavyweight Championship conversation, and then let Braun Breaker come in and have that spot to be that dominant top dog in that division eventually, after Chad Gable has had a lengthy reign himself. I think that remains to be seen whether that'll be the case or not. But since I've gotten on that tangent, just a couple of more things that I wanted to point out about the rest of this card, and we'll see if the podcast dad comes back and joins me. He had some tech issues on his end. So just to kind of, finish up the NXT results, Kiana James defeated Gigi Dolan, Roxanne Perez, and Blair Davenport in a fatal four-way match to determine the number one contendership for the NXT Women's Championship. As a result, I believe that Kiana James and Tiffany Stratton will be facing off at No Mercy, I want to say. Interesting dynamic heel versus heel here. Kiana James is a character that, at least for me, has been very hit and miss over the last few months. So I'm hoping that this is kind of the spark that she needs to get things going again. That remains to be seen. Tiffany Stratton's just firing on all cylinders right now. Having her in the crowd at Raw last week was really, really cool, because she's basically saying, you guys got to step up to me. I'm already the champion. So if you want to fight me, come get me, which I respect. And, she's there to try to fill the mantle of what Mandy Rose has done in NXT. And I think that it is just super, super awesome that they're giving somebody else the chance to have that sort of clout and prestige and, create that value for the women's championship. Yeah, she's just killing it right now, and I'm really excited to see where she goes from here, and I think this will be a solid match with Kiana James. We also had Elektra Lopez and Lola Vice take on Dana Brooke and Kelani Jordan. Brooke and Jordan have had this kind of frenemy relationship in NXT, and it seems like, yes, Dana Brooke is trying to get the best out of Kelani Jordan, but there seems to be some discord there. Elektra Lopez and Lola Vice, while they are not the most polished tag team in the world, I got to say that I enjoyed this match for what it was. I mean, this is just to get them over as a tag team and to further tease that dissension between between Dana Brooke and Kalani Jordan. So I don't see any of these women, competing on No Mercy anytime soon. That could change, but probably won't. Next up, we had Dijak taking on Eddie Thorpe. Very hard-hitting match. Big fan of Dijak and the fact that he's kind of returned to his roots in NXT after the debacle that was Retribution. This was just what it was. Quick, hard-hitting bout. I would like to see them get a little bit more time next time to really open it up and maybe get into that second gear or like a takeover. I keep calling them takeover, but in a PLE kind of feel, because both of them have it. We've seen that with Dijak, and he needs to continue to rack up a string of credible singles feuds so that he can eventually have a run with the North American Championship or the NXT Championship. We'll see. Depends on Dirty Dom. We also had the Global Heritage Cup Invitational take off last night, I should say. We had Joe Coffey taking on Nathan Frazier, gets the win here and 2 points in the standings. So at this point, we're, Podcast Dad and I had a lot to say about this the other night. He would like to see the Heritage Championship eventually turn into an actual championship belt instead of the trophy. I think the trophy is a pretty cool touch, just something different to add to list of championships, I should say. Coming over from NXT Europe, I do think that it kind of gives a little bit of that nostalgia that I'm definitely starting to enjoy as somebody that did not watch a whole lot of the initial Heritage Cup during the initial NXT run. So Joe Coffey has defeated Nathan Frazier, and then Butch defeated Charlie Dempsey. It was great to see Butch come back to NXT, back to his roots. He's, while I love the Brawling Brutes, there's so much more that they could be doing with him. He'll always be Pete Dunne to me, damn it. But this was a solid win for him. I would like to see him, advance pretty far into this tournament. We'll see what happens. We've also got Duke Hudson. We've also got Duke Hudson in the tournament, as well as Takira Tozawa. So we'll see what happens. But I like the idea of giving this championship more prestige by creating a tournament so that people can compete for it. Noam Dar is doing some of the best work of his entire WWE run with Metaphor. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with the Heritage Cup Invitational, but the winner will be taking on Noam Dar at No Mercy. So we'll see what happens. I think that covers it for our NXT prediction, or our NXT results, I should say. Here we've got a handful of matches here on the Payback 2023 card, and according to Podcast Dad, I might be finishing the rest of this show myself. So first match we've got on the Payback card is Becky Lynch taking on Trish Stratus. Steel cage match, Trish's first ever steel cage match. So this definitely has, or should have, some special moments here. I think this feud has dragged on a little too long. I know that there were some things that they couldn't necessarily control when it comes to the building of this and whether they should have had a match at SummerSlam. But, this has gone on since WrestleMania. At this point, while I'm excited for this match, I really just want this feud to end. There's so much more that Becky could be doing. There are plenty of other women on the roster that could benefit from the Trish Stratus rub and, further involvement with Zoe Stark. So if I've got to give a prediction here, I apologize. I'm going to go ahead and say Becky Lynch on this one. Becky Lynch is, again, just riding high right now. So I don't see any reason why she doesn't get to finish off this feud with Trish in the right way inside the steel cage. Next up, we've got Rey Mysterio taking on Austin Theory for the United States Championship. This one kind of just is what it is. Austin Theory's United States Championship reign has been just lackluster. Like, this one just has not been great. Podcast Dad and I were at SummerSlam, and in that Battle Royal, not only did Austin Theory not get an entrance to the Slim Jim Battle Royal, he did not even have his championship with him. So that doesn't, at least in my mind, say that there's a whole lot of faith in Austin Theory and what he can do right now. I'm going to say that Rey Mysterio retains here. I think that there is a larger story with the LWO and perhaps some dissension in the ranks as time goes on, and Santos Escobar heals up and wants a shot at a championship that he should have had an opportunity to compete for months ago. Next up, we've got Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Rodriguez for the Women's World Championship. This one's a no-brainer. Rhea Ripley is doing some of the best work of her career right now. She is, easily one of the top stars on Raw, on SmackDown, on NXT. Whenever she and Dom are on a show, it matters. It draws. I don't see her losing this championship anytime soon. I think that this is a solid program. This goes back to their NXT days as well, so there is some history with these two. I'm hoping that this is one, not only a competitive match, but at least sets up the opportunity for Rhea and Raquel to mix it up again. There's so much more that these two can do together. Raquel does not necessarily need to be in the tag team division much anymore. If they would know what to do with everyone else that is currently in their women's tag team division, the actual tag teams and not just two single stars put together. But I digress. So again, I'm going to say Rhea takes this one easy enough. We've got LA Knight, taking on The Miz. This has been probably one of the funnest feuds that I have seen all year because LA Knight knows how to get the absolute best out of anybody he is in a program with. Miz is getting the opportunity to shine. He's getting an opportunity to do some of his most outlandish stuff. And, coming out doing the LA Knight impression the other day and popping that crowd, it just works. It just works. When LA Knight can bring the best out of you and it's an opportunity for everybody to shine, everybody wins. These guys, we're not going to witness a technical 5-star classic or anything like that, but it's going to be a great match. It's going to be an entertaining match as well. I think that we still see LA Knight get this win and he continues his push for the rest of 2023. And, as far as Miz goes, he's in a position where he's done it all. This loss isn't going to hurt him. He could still find himself easily back in the world heavyweight title picture, in the next 6 to 8 months, by some sheer stroke of luck. So we'll see what happens, but I'm going to go ahead and give LA Knight the nod there. We've also got Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn taking on Finn Balor and Damian Priest for the undisputed or unified tag team championships, depending on who you ask. This is a big one for Finn and Damian because we are seeing that there's clearly dissension with the Judgment Day. And now that JD McDonough has inserted himself, or at least is attempting to insert himself into the good graces of the Judgment Day, it's really going to be interesting to see if he plays a part in this match and whether Finn and Priest can get the W here. Finn, once again, is the only member of Judgment Day without any sort of championship or accolade right now, and that's got to be eating him alive. So I would imagine that Finn is going to come out laser-focused in this match, but I'm not counting out Kevin and Sami here either, even though there have not been any really remarkable tag team title feuds since they won at WrestleMania. They're kind of just bouncing from Bloodline to Judgment Day and to various forms of those collective groups. I would hope that this is one that they can just get the win, put this behind them, and move on to true tag team title feud. There are too many other talented teams that Triple H is trying to build right now that could really use the opportunity to work with Kevin and Sami. Viking Raiders have been doing an amazing job lately. The addition of Valhalla has been great for them. We've still got New Day. We've still got the Street Profits. There are plenty of tag teams right now that could make a credible claim for wanting, to take on Kevin and Sami. So we'll see how this goes, but I just don't see them losing these championships anytime soon. But our presumable main event, Shinsuke Nakamura taking on Seth freaking Rollins for the World Championship. This is, I can't remember the last time I was this excited for a Shinsuke Nakamura match. This is finally the presentation that we should have been seeing for the last 7 years. He looks sinister. He looks cold. He looks calculating. They are, they're including subtitles in his promos and allowing him to present his promos in Japanese. That is what they need to be doing with him. As many pre-tapes as you can, so that way it's memorable when he does have an in-ring segment and he does, speak in English in some way. But it's super important, I think, for WWE to see the importance of making sure that their Japanese performers are able to present their promos and present to an American audience in a way that is most comfortable for them, without necessarily resorting to them having to give long, rehearsed, scripted promos in English. This match is a toss-up for me still. Rollins, is doing some of the best work of his career. I think that he was WWE's MVP in 2022. He definitely has an argument for being their MVP in 2023, especially given the fact that there really wasn't a world champion for most of this year on that show, and just Roman kind of bouncing back and forth, but no real threat to him losing the championship. And now Seth has given it some credibility. He's given it prestige. He's defending it on TV. He's defending it at live events. He's on a tear right now. He is the workhorse world champion. And we know that he's beat up. We know he's hurt. So while I can't speculate on the seriousness of the injury, it'll be interesting to see if they actually pull the trigger and put the title on Nakamura here. I think if there was ever a time to, this would be now. And I don't think that anybody would be super surprised. Nakamura has done a phenomenal job with what he's been given by WWE over the years. And that's only been proven during this short but meaningful build with Seth Rollins. I am hoping that he gets the win here. So I'm just going to go with my heart here, and I'm going to say that Shinsuke Nakamura gets the W, but we shall see. If you have any predictions or shout us out as far as anything that you want to see on Payback, remember our QR code is in the corner. I know that this preview show that we expected to do and see here today, we did lose the podcast, Dad, but I do appreciate you guys sticking with me. So again, feel free to reach out to us on social media. Like, share, subscribe. If there's anything you want to see on the show, please let us know. If there's any message that you would like us to put on our ticker at the bottom of the screen, reach out to us. Let us know. If it's something fun, maybe we'll put it on the air here. So again, just keep sticking with us. We're trying to improve and grow every single day. So on behalf of the podcast dad, who is non-existent at the moment, I am Mr. Cincinnati. Thank you so much for watching the Wrestling Junkies podcast, and we will definitely be talking to you guys soon.